stream. If you guys in the chat, once you start trickling in, just pop in and say hi as usual so we know and we can get started here with Gisel. But I'm super excited to have you on. I don't want to do an introduction or anything yet because I want people to stream in. But it's a nice little setup we have today. We'll have our faces on one side and then some of Gisel's art playing on the other side, which is kind of a nice structure. And I like that you recommended that so we can have some other visuals besides just us sitting here talking. And let me make sure. You know what? Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, it's
FYI.
funny. Go ahead.
FYI, the email says Hakatao.
Okay. Good to know.
I think all of them have been like one behind for some reason with your emails.
Okay, good to know.
Forgot to mention it last time.
I'm gonna try to switch that right now.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You guys all know I'm like new to Twitch since doing these streams. I'm gonna update that right now.
Yeah.
And then, because that we definitely want it to say Gisel.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, Coldy. Nice to see you. Sweet. Okay. Just updated that to Gisel. Everyone else pop in the chat as well. Let us know you're here watching. Sweet. I see everyone coming in here. And it's a different setup I was saying earlier, where we have the art on the side, which I'm super excited about. Oh, yeah. Frank Conway, thanks. He really enjoys this setup. It looks visually great. Awesome. Cool. Hey, a lot of money. Thanks for popping in.
Can they see the 3 screens already?
Yep, they can see. They can see.
How do I see that?
Is that okay? I hope
do
it's
I
okay.
see that? No, that's fine. How do I see that?
Oh, it's on the, you can view the Twitch at the same time. But
oh, right.
Sorry, right now it's, I put it full screen on the other side of us.
It's okay. It's all good. Okay, great.
A lot of money said, hey, girls.
Hello.
Okay, awesome. And if you want to, if there's a specific slide you want me to stop at, just let me know. But is it okay that it's just playing in the background?
That's fine. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Awesome.
Oh, cool. I see it. Okay, cool. That looks great.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining us here. We're just going to go ahead and get started since you guys are all in here and people will keep coming in. But I'm super excited to have you on today, Gisel. We briefly met at in February at NFT NYC before the whole world shut down. And it was such an awesome event, and I was also in the middle of launching a puzzle, so it was super brief. I was like kind of crazy, like launching all this stuff while I was there, and we didn't get to connect like I wanted to. So I'm really excited to have you on and just learn more about what you're creating and why you're in the space and what excites you about it. So thank you so much for coming on. And I was
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. And I was just saying to Gisel that I really enjoyed your Curating Crypto podcast as well. So I hope that we can dive further into some of those things, talk about whatever is sort of on your mind. Yeah, thank you, Hava, if you're in the crowd. Oh, sweet. That's awesome, Easy. And by the way, I'll just be reading some comments and calling out people if they have direct questions for you, which of course we do near the end and also all throughout. So feel free and pop questions whenever you have them. But I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and then we'll kind of just get into things.
Okay, my name is Gisel X Flores. You've probably seen me on the space. I've been around since last year. I am an artist. I am a photographer. I'm a mother. I'm like so many things. I have been super excited about blockchain art and NFT art and crypto art and just like everything developing in the space is so incredible to me. I think it's just like a breath of fresh air from everything else I've been part of. So I'm a photographer since the end of college. Like I was studying illustration, and I did all kinds of explorations into mediums, sculpture, and drawing from life. I was painting since I was a little kid, oil painting as a little kid with a traditional teacher, a Cuban teacher, and my family's Cuban as well. They immigrated when they were teenagers, and grew up in New Jersey, and went to Rhode Island School of Design. I learned how to think over there. I learned how to think about art, and in a conceptual way. I already knew representational, how to like the technical part of like, hand-eye coordination, and really making realistic drawings of whatnot. But going to college really opened my eyes to the history behind it, and all the artists that have come before us. So in Rhode Island School of Design, I started learning with a teacher called Henry Hornstein, and he does really, amazing photography. And his teachers were Ansel Adams, and wonderful people, and very traditional. And I learned 4x5 camera back then, around 2002. Got out of RISD and started to pursue photography. I did a little bit of VR work after RISD with Brown University. And then I wanted to move to New York, and I'm like, okay, let's start my life in New York City and see what that's all about. I started working with photographers, digital assisting them, helping them change from film to digital. There was a really high-end digital equipment, but it needed like giant servers and a whole bunch of like technical work that had to happen behind the scenes for these photographers to work seamlessly, like if they were using film. So I helped a lot of different ones, a lot of great photographers, fashion, still life, everything, all over in Miami and California. There was so much technical parts to it, which was really fun. And I also got to see what every industry was like, and what these shoots were like behind the scenes. I really gravitated towards still life. I worked with somebody called Richard Pierce, and he had such a technical ability that was beautiful. And he worked with light in a way, like I always compare it to playing pool. Like I played a lot of pool by myself as a kid in our basement. There was like a random pool table that nobody would play, and I just played by myself all the time. And the angles that it takes to play really good pool, like it's all mathematical in a way. And a lot of the work I do now is with light, and still it's the same. It's like my still life for the 15 years post RISD was just that, was like playing with light in a way to make a product beautiful. It was very much still life oriented, but I did everything, rock bands. I loved, like I shot like 3-day festivals for NPR, music fest, Iggy Pop. Like, I mean, I love music too. So cool. It was ideal, so, and that was more like my fun side projects and things. But still life has always been like true to my heart, and working with light has been true to my heart, and that's kind of where I've been now. I had an existential moment around right before 2018, like 2016, 17, after having kids for a few years. I got into roller derby. I was like a jammer. I was playing hard and like winning games, and it was so much fun. So like challenging myself physically in a different way, and also learning about community again. And it was all a female-run league, and we all did everything, every part. It was run by us and led by us, and I learned so much during that time. And then I started an ice cream company after that. And I totally stopped doing photography for like a year or two, and really pursued flavors of ice cream, and making a raw ice cream, which
Wow.
from raw milk, and my kids loved it and I loved it, and I worked at a commercial kitchen. I got all my licenses. Like I wanted to
Full
see what it was
on.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, full on New York City ice cream custard license, like,
That is
um,
so cool.
which is super funny because my first job after my first job ever was working at Dairy Queen. Like I was
Yeah.
in New Jersey, and it felt like an interesting circle to circumvent. And I started New York Ice Cream Gallery, and there's an Instagram floating around of New York Ice Cream Gallery with all the photos and all the background behind it, and flavors and everything. I found myself documenting it more than anything, and it almost like my husband and I, we were making like a real brand, like
Yeah.
we were really into like establishing what the look of New York Ice Cream Gallery is, more than really selling it. The
Yeah.
selling it at the farmers markets, I would like put out these beautiful photos of the flavors, and people didn't even understand that we were selling ice cream. Like they were just like, wow, these are beautiful pictures.
Yeah. That's so
um,
funny. And Havo actually just linked your Instagram saying it's so cool. So I can't
oh,
even imagine
nice.
the pictures on there. I need to go check it out.
That's like, I think, yeah, and there's also like another Giselle Flores Instagram running around of my Eva Hex times of my roller derby era, also
That's so
playing with
cool. It's like these little pockets of like
the
different lives that you've lived and
It's like
obviously
a history. It's so
yeah.
fun, and being a photographer, I feel like I've documented so much of it, and it's really cool to have this like this history like hidden away, for people to find. And now it's just Giselle Flores Studio has been where I've been putting on my artwork and creative thoughts. It's like it's almost like I use it like a sketchbook, the Instagram,
Mm.
uh, really kind of just showing these ideas that come out. And then when I finally feel like I have something I really like, that's when I've been tokenizing and establishing it through the blockchain.
That's really great to hear. And as you're talking, I have a few thoughts. Also, just in the comments, Hoppa popped in and said you were the real deal.
Yay.
Brooke Hawk, if you were open to sharing, wondering where in Brooklyn you're based. I don't know if you have like a physical.
Williamsburg.
Oh,
I've
cool.
been in Williamsburg for 15, 16 years now. There's
That.
there's so many fights out now. Oh my God, like out our window, it's
Mm,
changed. It's gone full circle. It was like almost nothing when I moved in. Then all these restaurants, and then all the posh kids came in, and it became so fancy. But then it started getting like alcoholic, drunk, like
mm.
always all nightlife, and now it's like back to like empty alcoholics and fights
Hopefully,
breaking out
it
on a
goes back
regular.
into the next cycle soon.
Yeah.
And Easy and Crypto said that his main passion is also photography, so he's super excited to hear your background
Awesome.
on everything.
Yeah.
Um, awesome. So what's interesting while you're talking and saying that you got this passion for still photography and just like putting it on the table. I don't know anything about photography. I think I really enjoy viewing it. I don't know anything about the technical process behind it, so excuse me and correct me if I misspeak on anything. But it's so interesting that you said you lean towards still photography because really within your pieces, like even though they're still, there's so much movement to me, and it looks like the city. It looks like water. It looks like it looks like so many different things. And I don't know for you if like those are places that you're taking pictures. Like when you say light photography, is it set up in a room where you're flashing different color lights, or is it like outside where you're doing some special technique and filter that you get these effects? Because really with your pieces, I do see so much movement, which is why they're so easy to connect to. You know what I mean?
Let me start. So when I said like around 2018, I had this like renaissance. I feel like when I left the ice cream, and I was like, hey, I'm taking more photos of this ice cream than I am actually selling it. Um, I got back into camera work. I work with a 4x5 most of the time. I actually can bring it down. Let me see if I can bring it. If you really
Okay.
want.
We can see bits and pieces. Okay, here we go. So what is a 4x5? Can you also just explain that to me?
Hello?
Yeah, can you explain just simply like what is a 4x5? Like I don't even really
Um,
know what that means.
this is like an old school camera.
Wow.
You
Looks like an
can,
accordion.
yeah, it's like you can, this is like set up for macro right now. It's funny how the background keeps deciding it's not a person. Um, you could like change the planes of what you're shooting. So like you can shift and tilt the front, shift and tilt the back. You could like move stuff as you're taking photos. So what I wanted to say with that, so like in 2018, I got really into it, back into it, and I had this like revelation where I was like, I want the moment between the capture to come out more. Like I want to know what's happening in that capture moment. And so I was like, okay, there's long exposure. That's pretty obvious. Um, but then I was like, there's so many more things. Like with a 4x5, you have this control over your image, where like right now the culture is so AI almost, of our phones, and they pick the most common, they're almost taking the most common photos in a way because they're all automatic. So everybody's camera is kind of right now taking the same thing. I felt like I needed, like my work right now is to be exploring what can happen in between that moment of capture. Like I feel like restudying the the technical side of it with an older version of a camera where you actually have control again, like what can happen during that time. So as I was exploring that, like through, I have like some fashion editorials I did of like jewelry and hands, and like I was doing these like long exposures, but also like different multi pops with light, also like different movements during capture, like camera movements, um, product movements. Like there's so many variables that can happen that I've been working with that you don't usually get a chance to do with a normal SLR. Um, that's my main thing. And then I was doing that so much that I started naturally really wishing for video. Like I was against it all throughout, like all of, like the last 10 years. I had heard about, everybody's like, all the photographers are like, I have to really learn video, otherwise we're going to be out of the picture with jobs. And I was like, no, I'm going to be that still life photographer that's a photographer, like I was against it. But then like my art started taking me to that route, and I'm like, wow, what an amazing thing I could do if I had video. So I started taking video with my iPhone, and like I wrapped it to a skate and did this like, it's on my Vimeo. I think it's one of the earliest things I ever posted there. And I did a roller skate movement with, while all these elements are happening, and it felt like I was in space. And I was like, yes, I
That's
want to
cool.
do more of this. I want to fix, and I want to feel time, and I want to have a meditative moment with my art. And that's where I'm headed, and that's what I've been working towards.
That's really cool. So when I'm like even these pictures that are popping up on the side, I have so many questions of like, and
Oh,
even to the video behind you. Oh, go ahead.
let me say one more thing, because I didn't answer your question about atmosphere. So a lot I do at home, because I have my own studio. Like I use this camera, which is hard to move very much.
Yeah.
But it's also a camera that I can take out too, and I can actually turn it into a normal SLR and take it out like a normal camera. Um, and and with that, the light wave series that I have, mostly on known origin, um, was done with a like, I had a dream before I did it, telling me like what I needed to do, like something so weird, like that moment before you sleep, like that, or the one right when you wake up. Like there was something being like, wait, if I do this, like like a technique with my camera, would I be able to separate those light waves? Would I be able to like see what's inside the light? that we see. And then I was like, okay, I need a place with a lot of these different kinds of light waves, because it would be so interesting to see the different emissions that are coming out of the lights. Like we have all these new lights around us that have not been explored, like LEDs. There's all this new technology with lighting that we haven't really, that nobody's ever really played with before. So then I'm like, okay, Times Square, that's like where it's at. You know, there's so much light there and so many different sources of light. So all of my light wave series was shot in Times Square. It's all captured with my camera, and in my, like, there's no filter, there's no nothing. It's like shot like that.
And are you like moving your camera to get these? Because like I don't know if it's United Airlines. You know the one I'm talking about with the red.
Yeah.
You have it in this slideshow. Like it looks like you're just like, I don't know. It looks like you're spinning around or something,
So
and like capturing
people would
pieces.
think I'm totally nuts. Like I think people did think I was totally nuts when I was taking those photos. I was all by myself. Like I'm just like, I'm literally like.
Okay. Okay. I was gonna say you must look crazy while you're doing these.
Totally crazy, yeah. But you know, whatever. We're all crazy out there. Times Square is full of them. Like I was like, I feel like totally in my element.
You were a normal person on Times Square. You were totally normal.
Right.
That is really cool. That's awesome that you're able to capture, like, for me, a person who didn't know the background about the art, to have like to feel like I am like transported somewhere through your art, when really it's still like so abstract, like it's not anything that I recognize right away. But like I said, it does have so much movement. It's a really cool experience to get that through your photography. So I love this one. Sorry, I'm pausing it so people can see it. I love this one.
If you describe it quick, I'll know.
The Transmissions of Light, NYC Times Square. It's the one with the air. I think it's something airlines.
That edition went to the NFT NYC event. Yeah. They had that on stage for that one and gave away a bunch of editions there.
And you also, so I definitely don't want to forget to talk about this. And also in the chat, Coldy said he can just hear the passion that you are coming through, which is so amazing. He also said that's a serious camera. Drape over your head style. And then Easy said, awesome to be using a 4x5 format, which he knows more about that since he's also in photography. Tilt shift is awesome on film. Burning light onto film through old glass is way different than anything digital. I don't exactly know what that means, but
it's just classic film versus digital.
Okay.
Digital sensors
and yeah, the Coldy, wow, that Nike shot is fire, which that shot is very cool. And everyone's just like gagaing over your images.
Oh, fun. That was the Nike one was it was before the era of the ice cream, before the roller derby. Okay. I was really into ultra marathoning back then. I was running so much day and night, and I fell in love with my husband now, that we would go running all bridges. Like we would do runs where we would run all the bridges at night, like. And it was so beautiful, and I had such like, and through the rain, you know, and I was like, wow, I want this to be in my photographs. So I was like wanting to be commercial, because to make money, of course, and then also like trying to incorporate my passion as well, and that's something I've always tried to do. So
yeah. Someone actually, it's a good question for right now. Sorry, I'm using a separate computer right now, so it's hard for me to read the name, but Graffermi, sorry, I'm saying your name wrong. If time and money were not an object, what shot would you love to get? And is half the fun taking the shot?
I feel like I have felt like the way I've been doing things ever since 2018 has been pretty much that. I've followed exactly what I've wanted to find out. Like the one behind me is the one I just did, and I'm like so excited about it, because this is not only what it's going to be, it's going to be an experience too. So it's going to be in VR as well.
Do you want to talk about the one behind you, or do you want to keep some of that as an element of surprise?
It's well, I could speak of what it is. It's so with one I'm like delving into light waves, and another where I'm delving into water waves. This one is delving into both. This is into water and light. This is water and light. So it's morphing and changing the diffraction, the reflections. I'm trying to like, okay, I live in a really, it's a studio space with two kids that are 6 and 8, and we have no doors. Like it's just like it's chaos all the time. And a lot of the work I've been doing lately has to do with meditative experience and trying to find my quiet, my moment. And usually in photography, that's what I've been finding when I'm either making or working with it post capture. And what I want to experience in the future. I wrote 2 years ago a proposal of a VR app that I wanted to work on, and it's finally starting to come into light, possibly with certain collaborators, of immersive experience, a visual immersive experience, to be able to like merge my what I'm making with my videos. Also, I've been working with more sound people, some really, really awesome music people. Throughout my whole life, I've been friends with a lot of musicians and passionate people about what they do, and always usually experimental as well. So I feel like all these worlds are going to come together pretty soon, and I'll get my dream. My dream, I think, is immersive experiences
That's
to
super
help
exciting.
people. Like, and it's a bit awkward right now because everybody has to wear the big goggles and
Yeah.
whatnot, but I know that's going to change. So by the time that changes, I want to be ready.
Yeah, no, and even while that's still happening, I think it's amazing that you're using all of these different experiences you have with creating art and bringing it into that realm because it's something that interests me as well. And it's important to do it now while that space is still small to kind of like get used to all of the, even how to market this sort of thing in that space. But what you're
Mm.
talking about with like this meditative space is really interesting. You're talking about sound and obviously visuals, and when you are in VR, you get this feeling of being in the space as well, even though you're
Yeah.
not technically there. So it is such an interesting intersection where you can kind of like hit on all the different senses, maybe minus smell, at once, which is nice.
I wish that would be kind of
Yeah,
fun too. I'd love to play with that in the future, but I hear it's the least likely that we're gonna do for a while because
yeah,
people have the least amount of sense of smell for some reason.
yeah.
But there's something. Oh, it was a huge deal learning about like noise canceling headphones with a crazy life. I can't believe I went so long without it. Like, oh my God, I was gifted a pair of noise canceling headphones, and it like I feel like it changed my life.
that's that's so funny, especially with kids and
Yes.
dogs and
Oh my God.
even the husband. Just cancel them out for a moment while you're
No,
working.
not even one.
um, so I want to ask you about, just so I don't forget, I remember someone showing me at NFT NYC this really cool tiny piece, physical, like film. I don't know if that's the
Hmm.
right word that you were handing out, which was a larger part of this full piece that also connected to NFTs. So would you be able to just talk about what you were doing there and kind of what that project was?
So it's a slide. It's like an old fashioned, we used to have to make slides of our art to submit it to a portfolio or to like a review or to go to college. I had to make slides, and it was such a weird thing. You had to use a special slide film, and then you have to get it printed, and you come out with these slides.
Yeah.
Um, so I that's part of the mission, is always translating translating like real items to the digital world. That's something I've always done. I help photographers go from film to digital. I used to shoot film, I now shoot digital. It only makes sense for me to be bringing art pieces that also transcend into the blockchain NFT aspect. So that those pieces, I was so psyched for the NFT NYC. It like brought tears to my eyes all the time. Like, because the piece that I submitted there was shot in Times Square, and I had no
Yeah.
idea that it would ever be shown in Times Square, and that I would be able to do these pieces to give away to some of the most awesome people I've met in the space, give them an actual piece of my art that transcends those boundaries, that goes into the blockchain physical reality. Um, it was the second version of those that I have done. I call it the GXF collections, because they're a bit different. They're more like a fractional piece, inspired by the way Bitcoin and the way Ethereum and everything's like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction, like a piece of this and a piece of that. I wanted to be able to have one artwork split to different pieces to give to a collection of individuals. Um, it was, I just love touching items, and I've always collected things and loved nature, and I'm like, to be able to give a slide, like I have so many future ideas for in-person events, and I hope to get there, hopefully, if we ever have in-person events again. Right now I'm kind of learning how to do it without in-person events, and kind of learning about
Right.
the fractional series. I did a few on Rarible. I don't know. It's like kind of all just testing out waters and seeing what happens or what people are into.
How many pieces were a part of this fractional piece that you did?
That is a good question. I think the slides, there was 20 something.
Okay. And
The
did they all connect? Did each one connect to an NFT, or were
Yeah,
they just okay? And then
each one was a specific NFT with a specific part of the
sorry, you're breaking up a little
photo.
bit.
Like
They
everybody
were.
got
It
a
was a
piece of that big.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit. You said it was a specific part of the full picture, is
Yeah,
what you're saying?
the full picture that was presented at NFT NYC. Everybody got a little slide of it, like a slide film piece.
So I would love to see like a all of those people who have one of those pieces to come together and like put it up in CryptoVoxels and piece it all together. Have you
I would
imagined
love
that
that.
happening?
Yes, yes, I would love that. You know, I was speaking to the people at Snark Art, to kind of learn to see if there was a way we could make an app for something like that. But you know, it's like everybody's plate is very full, and everybody has a lot of really great ideas. So I understand. And
Yeah.
I don't know if an app is really the way to go. You know, there's a lot to learn on my part too, because I'm like fully just learning what it is, what do I want to say, and what it means to people.
Yeah.
I love that I was able to give something physical to everybody. And what happens in the future, I don't know. You know, I love the fact that you know, I would love to prove. It's happening a lot with the royalties, the 10% of the secondary sales. I love that. I'm all for proactive, working hard to get artists what they deserve. Um, to have people understand what that means, that are not into the space, I want to help bridge that gap. Um, so it was a way. The first version I did was with coins. They were art coins, also printed. They were prints, and they were signed on the back, and they had a little QR code in the back with Link Drop. Link Drop is a great company, and they helped me make it easy so people can just scan it and get it claimed. Um, I just am very much into helping others understand how I have learned in the last few years. I think it's so good for artists to find this out, to like find out how to do this stuff, because to have royalties for life is a dream
Yeah.
for every artist that's ever lived.
Absolutely. And we've had these conversations, in a lot of Discord chats, and it's super exciting that it's happening in our space, and we're kind of helping form that narrative for artists to come. And I also think it's really special that you are passionate about getting other artists, into this space because of those amazing things that are happening here. And we hear that a lot with other artists educating Katie Arrington, having her um, uh, she does like coaching for artists, a lot of money bringing in his friends, Ogre, I think his name is, into crypto voxels. And then obviously, I'm sure he'll be putting out some NFT art if he's not already, which actually I think he is. And all these artists bringing in other people, which I think is so exciting to see the talent fill up in that way. That it's through this community that doesn't see it as competition. Like our space is so small. There's so much room for so many different talents in the space. So I think it is really special to see that. And you're right, there is something going on here that doesn't happen in the traditional art world. Of course, there are things that probably still need to be fixed, but royalties going to an artist is a huge benefit that artists themselves know how important that is. I think collectors are learning as well.
Yeah, and definitely, of course, we have to educate the collectors to enter.
Yeah, I will say there are some really great collectors that are also using their voice for the artists as well, which I've seen, which is really great to see as well.
Mm-hmm. It's so nice to see perspectives of everybody's direction and what they like to do. And there's so many different pods of groups of different types of art, and that's perfect. That's exactly how it should be. The something I wanted to mention, art salon. So the New York Ice Cream Gallery actually turned into an art salon that my husband ended up leading and inviting a bunch of different artists. We've hosted about 100, 200 in our space. We have a big 15-foot wall that my husband would curate and put together, and we found a community of really great artists that all love to speak of their art and enjoy a nice time. And I miss it so much. It was like our favorite thing to do. Once a month we would have these events and just invite a bunch of people and have performances with artists and show one piece of 5 or 6 different artists every time. These art salons, now that we're going digital, I want to start having them. I've been speaking with Sparrow and her art school, and I'm working on making an art salon of sorts for the crypto world too. I'd love to have people speak more of art with each other and just share ideas and share talks and concepts. It's something I had missed so much from art school. I actually was just speaking to Rhode Island School of Design today. I had another meeting with them, and I got to tell them about blockchain art, and they were like so excited with a million questions. And we'll see. Maybe some of them will hop in.
That's super exciting to hear. How did you find? Also, I have some questions in the comments that I want to get to after this that came up that were great. But how did you find the NFT space? Did you find crypto first, or did you find NFT art first?
I read a book called The Spatial Web. I was looking for sellable assets because my son was playing Roblox and Animal Jam and these games where they trade items, and there was like an alpha item which means a lot more and is worth more, and I was like, what is this structure of item trading and things? There has to be a human one, like an adult one. So I did a few searches online, and I ended up seeing this pre-release of the Spatial Web. And it totally changed my thoughts on everything. I was like, wow, the future is here already, and I didn't know, and I need to look into it. And then I found the Scent podcast, and Gisel, I think, was speaking of a few different platforms at the time. It was like super rare, and they spoke of a few others, and I started doing research and learning about that. Super Rare was super helpful
super
in helping me enter the space through wallets and whatnot, and understanding a little more of how to get into it. That was great, because otherwise I don't know if I would have made it through the loophole without any other help. It was hard to get through the barriers of understanding what I was doing. The whole wallet situation and confusing everything. MetaMask, or some websites were already making you a wallet, some weren't, and it's just, now I totally get it. I feel like I can navigate without problem, and I've been now exploring other blockchains, which is like wild to me that there's even more than I thought. Like I didn't realize there was more than one blockchain. now there's an EOS, and it's like, okay, great, I'll sell on EOS. And it was a lot of barriers for that too, like, glitches within the platform, ways to transfer the money that you would receive. It's like, it's like, how do you, okay, now I have this coin, what does it mean? Oh, it's that much valuable. Okay, how do I actually make it into something I can use? And New
Right.
York is full of restrictions, so there was
Yeah,
it was a
that
lot
is
of
true.
things to figure out. But it's super fun every time. And even the Boolean X is another one. It's like
Yeah.
DGX. It's like, wow, okay, now I'm paid in DGX. What does this mean? And how do I change it? It's fun. I love learning, so it's no problem for
Yeah,
me.
I was gonna say that's something that you probably didn't ever think that you would have that in your future, that you would have to learn about the currency you were accepting. But
No,
it's quite cool.
not at
And
all.
people, I mean, did you ever imagine that you could have such an international collector base that
I
easily? You
That's so
know?
cool. I love that. I love that so much. There's so much cultural intricacies of everybody that it's so fun to it's just a beautiful exchange of information and speaking to people from other parts of the world. I can't
Oh,
believe the connections I've
absolutely.
made. It's so great.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And even when I'm shipping physical art out of the country, I'm always like, I wonder what this is gonna look like in in Germany, in Italy, in all these places that I haven't been to yet. And I'm just thinking about seeing that these people in all these different countries have found a way to connect with my art and have it there. That's just so exciting. So
Yeah.
it's definitely another learning process for sure.
I got to fulfill my first tri-roll reward, and all of my tri-roll rewards are all prints right now. So, because it's kind of the only way to really get a print delivered. So I find it pretty fun to offer that. And yeah, I was sending it to England, and I didn't realize even where like the post office. I sent it to a UPS, and they're like, "No, we don't do international." And I'm like, oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
How funny.
So we have some questions in the comments. Um, Frank Conway said, "Were you fascinated with kaleidoscopes as a kid? Some of your
Oh,
images look like these experiences of mine when I first came across a kaleidoscope."
oh, that is that's such a great idea. So kaleidoscopes in college, I was really, pretty out there trying to explore absolutely everything. And I was doing illustration, which was very not out there kind of thing. It's very, you tell a story and you draw a picture. But I didn't ever want to do those kinds of assignments. I was in that major because they gave me facility to do other things. So I had a teacher that was like, I made a sculpture out of found lights, like broken lights from a car, and I
Hmm.
had a light in it, and I had it rotating, and it would put these reflections on the ground that were so awesome. Like I loved it. I was like, wow, this is the coolest thing, right? And I show it to my teacher at the time, and she's like, "You're such a rat. You're just finding garbage on the floor and putting it into an art piece." Like,
Oh
it's like
my
whatever.
god.
And I was like, oh my god, I hate you.
Yeah. It's like, and remind me to never take this class again.
Of course, it's like so funny, but it stayed in my mind for a really long time, and it's still there, of course.
Yeah.
But I love it because it's what I love to do. So whatever, like and there's other people that like it too. And then at one point, I was like playing with mirrors in my dorm room with some friends, and I was like, oh my god, check this out. And like I had the three mirrors together, and it basically was a kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
And I was like, check out what I made. This is amazing. And they're like, you just invented the kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
It's already been done.
That's so funny. I
It was
love
so
that.
silly.
That's so funny. That's a great story and experience, and it's cool that Frank Conway saw that
You
in your
saw it.
art as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Um, oh, and people were saying that especially in the city, your noise canceling headphones must be key. Um, oh, awesome! Thanks. VR Soda jumped in last time with Coldy, and now it is here and really enjoying the conversation. Um, and the background of you and the future tech that you're looking towards incorporating. They're really excited about that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, and Frank Conway, the gratitude in Giselle's voice for what the likes of what Rarible are doing for artists speaks volumes, 100%. And then they're also, everyone's, Easy and Crypto said, can't wait until events open back up. Yes, events are such a, oh, and the virtual salon idea sounds awesome. Events are such an amazing space to meet other creators, to meet collectors, to meet, project leaders, to just meet the community in general. I really, really enjoy going to conferences. It's brutal when you're traveling. I'm in Chicago, so it's always, oh, traveling to New York, traveling to San Francisco, traveling to Mexico, traveling to all these different places, and nothing really in Chicago. So it's always brutal, and I'm always not taking care of myself as well as I should and getting enough sleep. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't give up any of the conferences I've gone to. They're such a special experience, and if you guys get the opportunity to do it, please do. Um, uh, Someone asked, sorry, I keep saying your name wrong, Graph for me. Have you found any NFT technologies to be more royalty friendly towards artists?
More. It seems like there's a general consensus with the 10% with the secondary sales. That's
I think
all I.
Known Origin is still working towards that, right? I don't think they're there yet. Or are
thought
they?
they got it already.
Or is it Maker's Place? I thought one of the two.
Maker's Place, maybe not.
Oh, okay.
Haven't. I've never gone to Maker's Space, even though it seems to really have picked up.
Yeah, I can't remember. I thought one of them was still working towards it, or had it on the agenda but wasn't there yet. There is also places like OpenSea. You can choose your own royalty if that's something that interests you. So if you want to only have 5% or you want to have a higher percent, you can do that as well, which is interesting. Their fees are also much lower than other platform fees. So you get to keep a little bit more of the change in your pocket when you're selling initially as well.
Right. With the giveaway pieces, with the GXF collections that I was giving away during events, those I had set for like 3%, like super low, because who knows, maybe somebody wants to like collect a couple of them or have a bigger section of the art piece. I always found that such an interesting thing to give away something for free that can generate income for the people holding them. Like what a cool, like I just, as like a giveaway, like the best giveaways that actually make people money,
Totally.
like that could, potentially, if anybody wants to trade them of sorts, the incentive for trading is that part's really not there yet. But it's kind of like what you do with it. The space is open. Like we don't know what will come and what the opportunities arise that will happen.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. Finding ways to give your supporters and collectors sort of like an income on your stuff if they choose to is definitely an interesting and exciting thing that NFTs bring. They said your teacher was terrible, by the way, the one that said you were a rat collecting trash.
I know. She just wanted me to draw a cartoon, and I just refused.
Agrocat said those are the teachers you mention when you accept awards. Very true.
Right. No, I would do the good ones. I had this one project where it was a Robert Brinkerhoff project, and he was like, it was about suspense, and it was about your audience, and do an artwork. It was so free. It was like, do an artwork that will bring a reaction or a suspense to your audience. And I had a leopard gecko at the time, which I still have a leopard gecko now. But I had and I was like, okay, I want to see what happens if the leopard gecko will be our star, and we have these crickets in plexiglass cubes around it, like. What would he do? Would he try to eat it? I don't know. It was like all an experiment, and I did it, in a very nice way to every creature. Everybody was healthy, but for the class, it was so awesome. Like it was really fun. Everybody was so excited. Just like, what? You have a lizard? What, crickets? What? They're gonna be in the glass cubes? Like, what is that? I don't know. It was so out there as well, and the fact that I could do that for an assignment, and it really brought a lot of thought to everybody. Love it.
So what does a leopard gecko look like?
It's like an African fat tail gecko.
Interesting.
It's got a really fat tail, and they're
how big is it?
It's like not that big, like this big.
Okay. How long do they live for? I have so many questions.
Like 15 years, like a long time.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. And do your kids take care of it, or is it more of your pet?
It's my pet right now, and my
Okay.
husband's been really into crickets, and now the crickets are breeding in there, so now it's like
Oh,
a whole system. It's like a
yeah.
biosystem.
No,
Another
absolutely.
thing, another thing I really got into with around the ice cream roller derby time was growing plants underwater. Like
Oh,
I have no outdoor garden, even though I love nature so much that I was like, oh, I have to be able to make a garden in my tank. And so I have a 75-foot-gallon tank with like a whole bunch of beautiful plants growing in it. And that's a passion too.
and do you take photographs of that as well?
I
I
have
feel like that
taken a
could be a
few.
pretty cool photograph.
Some of the crypto art is that
Okay,
that I have. Some of the videos
that is
is
very
actually
cool.
from that.
And next time on part two, we'll have to do a tour of your place because it sounds really awesome. I want to see the gecko. I want to see the plants and water.
Yeah, totally.
Um, uh, Future punk. My favorite light effect is uh, acoustics. Sorry, I don't know. In a swimming pool, but light creates so many amazing effects. What are some of your favorites?
Everything. Right. You know, the actual acoustics of listening underwater lately, I've been like trying to get my head around like how can I record, you know, like when you stick your head the bathtub
Yeah,
and you just like hear so
the
different.
muffle.
I want to have that. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm working on it.
Okay,
That's,
that sounds
that but
awesome.
light in underwater, every water. uh, I mean, I've a lot of my photography deals with water and playing with those things. I've never shot in a pool per se. I don't really have a pool, so can't really experiment as much. But who knows? Maybe someday. That'd
Yeah,
be great.
and I think it's interesting. I remember you did this piece that was like, and sorry, I don't remember the exact like story you put behind it, but it was, I think it was like you looking down into a reflection of like
Mm,
the silver part of your sink with like water
hmm
dripping. That
hmm
piece was so cool. And like
That was a
it plays,
self-revealing reflection.
yeah, and it plays with so many things that you're talking about with the water and the light, but then at the same time, it had an abstracted version of you in it, which I don't necessarily see like the like people, the human form in your other work. So thought that was really interesting.
It was a very personal piece of like expelling, you know, just like the new you. You always want to be the best you, and there was so many things I had to like let go of at that time and just like clear out.
It was a very
I
cool
thought
piece.
it's awesome to have it in an art piece. Yeah,
Yeah.
it helped me visualize it. Just like I'm a very emotional person. There's no question. So it's
That's
you know,
it's
with passion comes a lot of drama too, and keeping things real is a way of life, and trying to deal with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's special and important that you can embrace that. And even while you're talking through this, like, you're so genuine talking about all the different things, all these different paths you've taken in your history, and even saying, I took a few years and I had children, and the way that you're talking about your kids. I think it's really something that you don't hear a lot of artists like diving into anything too personal. And maybe not everyone wants to do that, but it is nice to hear that almost like human aspect of this art that you've been collecting for a while, which is a big goal of this show as well. To kind of like really go behind the art and see what the
Mm-hmm.
person is all about. So thank you for sharing that as well.
Yes,
Um,
of course. Yeah, man, my kids are awesome. I love having kids. It's really beautiful. Such a wonderful experience. I home birthed. I had like a awesome, like just trying to just do everything right or something. Like even with the first kid, it was mostly like cloth diapers, and like you add so much work to your life, but then in the end it just feels so rewarding as an experience. And like it's only once in your life, you'll have it once or twice. So
yeah.
it was pretty cool. We gave it our all, and like have done, just
Talk about an underwater photo
getting through
shoot.
it.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Some special light effects as you're giving
Yeah.
birth. That's so funny. Um, People are just applauding you for your creativity,
Oh,
and people love the. I also love the idea about your water garden. I need to find the pictures of it, because that is super cool and just intriguing. Easy said, I had a friend blow glass texture half spheres and used to shoot video through them. That is epic.
yeah,
Love the
awesome.
optical effects. Unfortunately,
To
they
have
got lost
control
in
of
one of
that.
the many moves.
To have control of the glass would be so cool.
Yeah. VR soda. I cannot picture leopard gecko at all. I can't either, so I'm going to be Googling it
Oh.
after this with you.
Would bring them, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
I'll
maybe
have to
he's.
be ready. Like I could put him on my shoulder next time.
Yeah, yeah.
He might hang out for a bit.
That is awesome. And you guys feel free and continue to ask questions in the side, because near the end of this, I'll do some rapid fire questions that I just normally ask at the end of the show that are nothing, they're not too serious. But people can
Well,
also
okay, let me
continue
tell
to
you.
ask
Let me tell you some
questions.
inspiration as far as the why I got into the fish tank, or
Yes,
even why I got.
I would love
One
to.
inspiration leads to another, and one of them was we visited Nelson's friend that started a company, a vodka company. It was like Industry City Vodka. And we went to his laboratory in Industry City, and he was working with a glass blower and like a sculpture genius that was actually helping him brew yeast in a way
Mm.
that could make this vodka, could purify the vodka in a special way. And he was making his own machines to do this, like from scratch. Like he had his own giant fish tank, which at the time was empty because he had already gone through his experience of CO2. And for growing plants underwater, you need like a nice CO2 system. And he was making his own out of yeast, and that's what gave him his aha moment of making vodka with this yeast and like making like a super yeast.
Cool.
And so I was like so fascinated with that I was like, I need a fish tank. I want to learn. Like I was already making bread and like learning about like I had already been making kombucha in the past, and
Yeah.
all this like DIY type things um, can really, like, one inspiration can lead to a
So
huge
many other.
whatever you want to make. Like seeing successful people, kind of learning their backstory, you could learn so much as to like how to navigate your passions and really be who you want to be and make
Yeah.
something new.
I used to work in the restaurant industry, and it reminds me there were so many people that I worked with that used to brew their own beer at home, and
Mm.
like with all these different flavors, like guava and grapefruit, even chocolate, with like nitro beers, and I was just like, I don't know anything about beer, but this is so freaking cool. And I remember
Yeah,
tasting some of the like different kinds they had, and for different seasons. And it was that. I mean, that is an art. Creating alcohol,
definitely.
creating a lot of things, but
And you
creating
can
alcohol
see
is
and you
definitely
can
an
see
art.
now, like you can see now how marketable that is,
Oh
like
yeah,
how much everybody loves flavors, and to be able to make your own at home is ideal.
yeah,
Because then you can really adjust it how you wish.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like people are just driven to more flavors of everything, more choices. It's all about choices. We're in a hard time right now for sure, and hopefully that comes back to normal. I don't know.
yeah.
We'll see what happens.
No, definitely. See you a lot of money. Thanks for joining. He's
Bye
just
bye.
hopping off. Catch up at breakfast. AgroCat said, "Will you be incorporating more music into your pieces, like collective sonic DNA?"
Yes, I have another artist that used to be part of a band called Not Blood Paint, that I used to follow a lot. They were so creative and so really amazing with their music live. And then they split up, and one of the band members recently contacted me and liking my videos and just like being like, hey, you want to collaborate? And I'm like, oh yeah, I know you're like a total scientist wizard at music. I do.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
I'm starting to collaborate with some really awesome experimental musicians.
That's super exciting. And
Learning
the
more.
platforms are supporting audio now as well, which is really
Yes.
nice. To be able
Here's
to.
something. Here's
Go ahead.
something I wish for people to develop is to be able to have alpha layers and music. Is there such
Mm,
a thing yet? I don't think so. It's like you
I
can't
don't
have
know.
both.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure. It is nice though that they are starting to incorporate it, but that would be interesting for sure. And I like that even with what you were talking about earlier with these like VR experiences and like having all of your different senses engaged. Um, Audio with an art piece is something that is actually quite difficult, at least in what I've explored, because I'm not an audio artist. It's quite difficult to like get everything working together. And once you do, it's kind of like this little piece of magic. So I think that's really awesome that you're collaborating with someone to do
Yeah.
work like that.
Yeah. One artist can do so much,
Yeah.
and two artists can do double as much in some ways,
Yeah.
and really change everything. So the VR with sound and immersive environments is there's so much that can happen because you don't have the technical problems with physical speakers, and knowing where everything is. Like if you can just place these pinpoint spots that is emanating music, I mean, there's so much more you can do, like without, of course, having a ton of money and a sound engineer and people working on behind the scenes and all that.
Yeah.
Or having sound rooms, which is an amazing experience too. Like I was going, my husband and I would have dates at galleries and museums every once a week, and it's so sad that we can't go to them anymore.
Yeah. That's a
But being
good.
able to immerse yourself all the
Yeah.
time in this amazing artworks and sound rooms and installation spots, and just like seeing what everybody's working on and experiencing it. If it needs to happen in VR, if it can't happen
Yeah.
in.
Is your husband also an artist?
Yeah,
Okay.
he did architecture at Cooper Union, but has been an artist his whole life. That's all he's worked on.
That's so
Nelson
interesting.
Nelson X.
Got it.
And
Got it. Yeah, no, I need to do more of the gallery
a little bit.
excursions.
There you are.
Oh, did you lose me for a
Oh,
second?
yeah, I got you. There.
Okay. Let me know if everyone else is. I think everyone's okay. Um, I love that you're taking those excursions and sort of doing that together. And it also probably feeds the creativity so much for you guys and
Mm-hmm.
like inspires you to do different things
Mm-hmm.
as well, which is really awesome. Is he doing more of like three-dimensional artwork?
He's very much a poetic artist. He does a sculptural work recently, but very poetic in a lot of like mostly written word too, and very private too with his work. It's like I'm like the social one showing a lot of
Yeah.
my stuff, and his is very reserved and very specific. Um, but as far as like bringing a community together, that's what he's really been passionate about and doing. Um, New York Ice Cream Gallery, we'll see what it turns into. I don't know. But there's a website too, newyorkicecreamgallery.com,
I'm
that has
definitely
all
gonna
the
check that
artworks,
out.
and I've been able to shoot a lot of the performers and upload streaming of that to that same website.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out, and I can link it in my Discord afterwards for you guys to check out as well. Um, and Easy and Crypto said music adds a lot more magic. That's for sure.
Mm.
Um, have you, Frank Conway? Have you ever come across the branch of mathematics called fractals? And if so, did you use it in your art? Love what Sorry, I'm zooming in. Love what Mandelbrot did with fractals and the psychedelic images created from this field.
So I knew fractals. My dad was an engineer, and he brought a computer when I was a kid into the home. I was about 6 years old. And it was super basic type computer stuff, like floppies. And I remember one of the floppy apps that we would get. I don't know if this was already when it turned into like the smaller ones. But there was a fractal app at the time, and there was also a 3D stereoscopic one where you like cross your eyes a little, or I think that's what, I don't
I think
know. The
it,
ones that
yeah.
you cross your eyes a little and see a pattern.
Okay.
I loved those things, and they were on these like mix of like all kinds of like shareware type programs. Um, but that's where I first learned about fractal art, and I loved it back then, and I was like really impressed. But the interesting part about the work that I like to do is I like to go from the nature perspective. Like I like to almost document the nature perspective in a like almost pseudoscientific way, having my macro camera is almost like a microscope. But finding the fractals within nature is really amazing for me. Like a lot of my work kind of references it. My work is always referencing this generative type digital existence with a lot of the different things, from morphing the screens to finding the infinite within my work. It's a big deal for me.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. Coldy3D said 3D magic eye.
Thank you. Yes, that's it.
I
I
knew
loved
he would
those as
know.
a kid.
When you said stereoscopic, I was like, Coldy knows what she's
I
talking
know. I was
about.
like, I'm gonna say it right, and I was like, if Coldy's on there, he's gonna tell me I'm wrong.
That's all right.
Stereoscopic. So yes, and those were awesome. And I've seen a few people tokenizing some of those things, and that's really awesome too.
Yeah, and he said you were right. And yeah, Coldy's not afraid
Oh.
to correct because he corrected my grammar when we were on our show. So, um, uh,
That's a,
Easy and
that's a
Cryptos,
winning move.
yeah, Easy. He's like, yeah, but honestly, I'm pretty good at grammar, and I was like, okay, I'm not.
Me either.
um, Easy and Crypto, amazing to grow up with that old tech. I also had an old school computers growing up. That's really awesome. I did not have computers growing up, but
Has
it's
anyone
very cool that you
the,
did.
the modem sounds yet? Like I feel like those old modem sounds or printer sounds of like that,
Mm,
like, oh, that would be really fun in a piece.
that would be a cool audio. Um, Havo, I love how Giselle incorporates her kids into her art. Absolutely. And then he also said stereoscopic is Coldy's safe word. Okay, that's hilarious. That is so awesome. So, do you want to tell us any? I know you talked about it a little bit, but do you have any particular projects coming up that you're super excited about, or collaborations that you can kind of just like overview a little bit of what you talked about before, or anything that we didn't cover?
I have a collaborative piece with Bard Yasin coming soon. I have to. It's a gift for. It's a gift, so I have to present the gift first, and then I will see about tokenizing it.
Okay.
But it has to do with AI, and it's very cool, and it puts a lot of my history together in a really cool way for myself and in a personal way. So there's something with that. There's another coin coming out with Bullionics, which should be fun. I'm not sure if they're. We'll see what happens. But so far the concept is really should be really fun. There is this piece behind me is part of a trio of videos that I've been making that will turn into an not interactive, but an immersive 3D piece in VR in Sonium space. And that is for a solo show that I don't know if I'm allowed to speak of. And what else? I think I had a whole Astrozak. I have a piece coming out with him at some point soon. It's funny with art. It's like different. There's like I usually the way I work is like I have like a whole bunch of projects that are kind of like all being like juggled, and it's like my brain just wants to work on one or the other, or there's like a moment of like, okay, this is what I'm doing now, and it's almost like my brain tells me what I need to do.
Yeah.
And and I guess that's normally what happens, but it's like automatic in a way for me now. Like the process has become so fluid that I let it just like what is going on, and it tells me, and I just like do it, and also like when you get stuck on something, you can like just you keep checking in every once in a while, and then finally it snaps and you get it, and it's like, okay, that's what I wanted to say with that. But I don't like releasing pieces until they're totally ready.
Yeah.
So there's a few collaborations that are in that mix of like, I don't know yet. But yeah, the art salon, working with Sparrow at some point soon on something like that for crypto voxels probably. I just had an art salon experience, did through Zoom with people of Woodstock, with a photography collective in Woodstock, and
Oh
that was
wow.
really different, and so different because these people are not digitally anything. Like they had been meeting in person for like who knows how
Right.
many years, and their pace is so different, and I loved it because it really made me focus, and it really made me like one image, everybody talking about it for a good like 10-20 minutes, which is really long for like,
Yeah.
the patience is hard because crypto art is like like what are we doing now? And it's like I want to find a medium. I want to find a way to slow down a minute and like to like have a few people talking about what they're working on, and everybody have a collaborative experience of just maybe what comes to mind when they see their work. It could be work that is in process, it could be work that is finished, it could be tokenized already, who knows. But I would love, I miss the conversations that art critique in school used to do. So I think with a bunch of adults like speaking of what it is that they're interested in, and having just an artistic communication behind it that's not just a social media post or a comment, would be great, like once a month type thing.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
think that would be awesome, and I think you could have a lot of people attending those, um, especially
yeah.
if you strategically place them maybe around the work in progress meetups or something like that. It would be quite a cool event.
Right, like where a handful of people will submit what they want to talk about, and those are the things we talk about for the day. And next time you do other people.
Yeah. And have you been to Conlins at all in at the Rose Nexus?
I have not. I have. There's so many events that I want to go
Yeah.
to, and I do not get a chance to go to them.
But he
But
does. They highlight
awesome.
art and talk about it, so you should hop into one of those as well. And I need to
Yes,
go to more of those myself.
I need to. And now I have some like nice T-shirts and swag and hats and things that I can wear.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
little or a little dragon I have on my shoulder.
Oh, that's awesome.
What else? But that's like
Those
those are
are
things
that's a
happening.
lot. Yeah,
That's
that's a lot. That's super exciting. And I'm excited to see all those things come up as well as with people in the chat. Want to see those as well. So that's awesome. Are you going to be? Do you know if are these pieces going to be released on different platforms? Like, are they going to be editioned works, or are you leaning more towards these going to be with super rare, or does it just totally depend on the piece?
undecided.
Okay.
Undecided. That's also something that comes kind of like at the moment, and it's like where
Yeah.
does it fit best? Usually, like I what for known origin, I like to have a lot of my traditional works on there, like not traditional, but like just camera based, like technical pieces there. Like they're usually very very detailed once you buy it or download it,
Yeah.
and I wish there was detail shots we could show in those formats in those forums. But things are developing as they should, and there's a lot of
Absolutely.
priorities, I'm sure.
Um, so some of the comments that came in, Havo said, "By the way, I never told Giselle that when our podcast episode finished recording, she left her mic open. It was fun to
Yeah.
see
Oh
how
no.
she released the
Uh-oh.
post-episode stress."
Uh-oh.
Havo. He said she was a great
TMI.
guest, which I agree. Havo,
That's so funny.
yeah, I was telling Giselle at the beginning of this that I really enjoyed your guys' podcast on curating crypto. It was really awesome to listen to. Easy in crypto, I'm excited for the new work and love the Bologna X pieces. Agrocat IDK Woof Woof would be a cool SFX2. It's so funny because we heard your dogs a couple times in the
Oh
back,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
they sound super sweet. But Agrocat, um, I know you tweet because I always like them because it's the cutest pictures. He'll tweet his dogs and say like, I think your dog's name is Monty if I have a good memory. He's like Monty says good night, and it's so cute. But a dog would be quite cool. Um,
Yeah.
uh, Easy in crypto, I jump around a little too much. Damn brain. Same here.
Yeah.
He likes that you're doing this slow down session idea. Take the
Yeah.
time to smell the flowers. Totally. And then Hoppo said Giselle really prepared, which is great for the podcast.
Wow, I didn't prepare at all.
Well, you thought you
But
did, which was even better.
I wanted it to be more chill, but like the other ones, the rare art festival, I did prepare and I was nervous for that. And I had one earlier today, so I feel like it was fresh in my memory. That
Yeah.
one I prepared for because it was speaking to students and history and my old past and
Yeah.
seeing kind of advising kids on how to get through and what to do now in this new situation.
That's awesome that you're doing that for students and you're giving your time in that way.
It's so fun. I've kept a really nice friend relationship with my professor, and he's like always bringing his students once a year to my studio so I could speak to them. And I was just speaking with him today, being like, man, some years you would come and it was like the worst year. Like to be able to give advice on something that's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making ice cream. Like
Yeah.
to be able to
You're
advise
like
people is hard.
check in with me later.
Yeah.
Um, Havo said you filled out the questionnaire, sent examples, prepared, which I will agree. I mean, Giselle came on here and she's like, "Hey, I have a slideshow of art. Can we play it with
Yeah.
while we're doing
Awesome.
this?" I was like, "Hell yeah!" So I agree. You are very prepared, even when it's
Thank
casual,
you.
which
Thank you.
is
Thank you.
really
Yes.
great to see. Um, Sweet, I got your
That's
dog
true.
name
Yeah, the
right.
slides. It's funny. I'm not seeing the slides, so I just see you, and I kind of
Sorry.
forget that they're on there. That's good, though. I'm glad because it was the Hakatao, the last one that you did. I thought it was so cool. There was this behind the scenes going on, and like that
Yeah.
was really interesting to look at. So
Yeah,
I was hoping
that was
you can
kind
do
of a
too.
fun. Yeah, that was kind of a fun just because we didn't see the Hackatow duo. I mean, we saw little pieces of them, but we saw such an intimate part of them because we were literally seeing their studio and their
Yeah,
workspace and their dog. So
I love that.
that was an awesome one. Oh, that's so nice. Enlightened Dap said, "You are both amazing artists and heroes of mine.
Oh,
Working on any collaborations." Oh, are you asking if we are open to collaborations? I'm not sure if that's your question. Um, but I always say just reach out to people and
yeah.
see what's
Oh,
going on.
always.
Yeah,
Just reach specific, like find the person you really want to work with and have an idea because that's the best way to approach people.
yeah, absolutely. This was awesome. Thank you for coming on and just talking with us about behind the scenes of your work. And I feel like I've even like the small things of getting to see your camera, I think make this so much more special because I am not familiar with photography at all. So to be able to see the tools that you're using is quite special. And now, even like moving forward, as I see your work, I'm going to be thinking about what is this a picture of, number one.
If
And
you
what'd you say?
if you see my normal website, my more commercial giselflores.com, on the about, I think there's a photo of me with like my jungle gym of lights and
That's
smoke and
awesome. Okay, I need to check that
there's
out.
like it's like I usually when I shoot something, I have like a giant set of like grip and like diffusion and things and lights and I use hot lights, I use broncolor, I use flash. I'm like I try everything and it's
No,
fun
I
like
can.
that.
That's really amazing. I'll definitely try to look for those behind the scenes
It's
pictures.
like I'm playing pool with light.
Yeah, exactly like you said. I do have some rapid fire questions to finish
Oh my God.
this off with. They're
Okay.
super easy.
This
They're
part makes me
nothing.
anxious. Let's
They're
see.
nothing serious at all. Besides, maybe the first one is the most serious
Uh
for the crowd. Bitcoin or Ethereum?
oh. Ooh. Oh man. I don't know. Why would you
See,
make
this
me
is
say
the
that
most
in
serious one.
public? I will go with Ethereum because it was my first.
Okay, that's a good
But
reason.
I like both. I think they're
Okay,
both fun. Have a lot of
go
potential.
Yeah, go back 1 year or forward 1 year.
Ooh, forward.
Okay. I don't think anyone has said back.
Yeah, it's
So,
always forward. Always, man.
um, last NFT or physical art piece that you bought.
Huh. I think it was Astrozac. I think I really liked his piece on Maker's Place with the stars.
Okay. Morning person or night owl.
Much more of night. Yeah.
Okay.
Work at night when everybody's sleeping. That's the best.
Yeah, no, I work at night as well. Cats or dogs? Or
Dogs.
not
Dogs,
lizards. What is
lizards, and
it?
fish.
Is it a lizard or a gecko? Are they the same thing?
It's a gecko. It's a
Okay.
gecko, but you know.
So you said dogs and geckos.
Dogs, gecko, fish.
Okay, got it. How many fish do you have?
Oh my God, like a billion. They all
Really?
had babies in this tank, and so there's like a whole bunch of them, like all sizes and all kinds. Not all kinds, but there's Pleiades, there's angelfish, and there's bristlenose plecos.
Wow.
There's some cardinals, there's some rummy nose. I'm a total fish fanatic too.
Okay, I don't know anything about fish. That sounds
Planted
awesome.
breeds.
They sound beautiful with all of those names, but I don't know what they look like.
Sometimes I post stories on my Instagram with them.
Okay.
Kind of like a quiet moment.
Well, I'll definitely be checking that out because that seems like a nice little break to see fish in your storyline. Decentraland, Cryptovoxels, or Somnium Space?
I want to say, of course, Cryptovoxels, because that's, again, my first experience into it, and the fact that anybody can be part of it and see it from my computer. I don't have VR equipment. I've been loving the photos of Somnium Space. I'm starting to learn about the limitations of making stuff there, and we'll see. But I'm so excited because I think there's a real beauty to it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Window or aisle seat?
Window.
Okay. Someone in the past or present in crypto that you'd like to meet?
Satoshi, of course.
Okay. What would you say to Satoshi?
I don't know.
Hi.
That I saw him in a milk carton.
Yeah. Favorite food?
Mangoes.
That's a good one. Texting or calling?
Texting.
Would you want to live forever?
No.
Okay. How much longer would you want to live than your normal lifespan?
Probably another like 50 years maybe to see the grandkids, or if there is any, and what happens there.
That's pretty short. I'd probably go longer than that. But no,
yeah.
it's
I don't know.
It's interesting to see what people's initial answer is to that, you know? Describe the NFT space in 3 words. That's the last question.
Man, yeah, this one I don't know. Non-fungible token.
There you go. That was easy. It was super awesome having you on, Giselle. Thank you for just giving us, you know, a bit more of a personal background to some of your work and the experiences that you've had along the journey. And I'm super happy to have you in this space alongside as a fellow artist, and so excited to see all these projects you're working on, and especially the experiences that you're excited about, because I'm really excited about that as well. So I'm just excited to see that happen, and I love how you're not only doing, you know, your goal is not only to like push your artwork for yourself, but you're doing collaborations. You're working with Sparrow on, you know, maybe making this broader for other artists and education. You had a call earlier today with, you know, a school teaching kids. So I think that's super amazing that you're using your talent and your voice to also let other people hear about that. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for being on Behind the Art stream. And it was a pleasure having you on.
It's really cool to be part of it. Thank you for everybody watching. I'm so excited to be able to talk to everybody, and even though I don't hear anybody, but
it's all on chat, so you can see when you watch back too.
It's great talking to you, because then it's like at least I'm not just doing a blind presentation where I'm just like talking about whatever. It's really nice to interact with you and to interact with the questions. That was really fun. This is a first, so I haven't done this before.
Yeah, no, and it's nice to just like, I mean, I love podcasts, but it is also nice to just have the face-to-face. And also, selfishly, I don't have to edit anything. I just like, you know, film and we're done.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So it is nice to have that content for everyone. And my favorite part is definitely the community that's able to ask the questions live and interact with us live. So thank you all for being on here. And I'm
Yes, and we're
super glad
interacting
that you
every
guys
day,
enjoy
like
it.
on Twitter or on Instagram. It's like so
Yeah.
cool to be able to get a little bit further in like understanding each other.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll definitely be following you on Instagram because I want to see some updates of
Oh
your
my God,
gecko
the
and
history
fish
goes
and
on
plants.
forever with like artwork. So it's fun. There's so much stuff I've put on there the last few years that I really love.
Okay, awesome. And I'll be digging into the archives of your ice cream shop.
Yeah. There's a really cute one. We had a 1974 Ford van, an Econoline. And man, we had the farmer's market events there with it. And there's such a great photo of all of us with our I Love New York shirts, selling ice cream.
That's so cool.
It's just like so perfect and cute and like a
I will
nice
definitely find
memory.
it. Yeah, nice memory of when you were slinging ice cream scoops.
Yep.
I love finding all of
So
these
I never
little.
did the scoops though. I
Oh,
never did
okay.
the scoops because New York Ice Cream Gallery is like little containers, so I would never have to scoop.
Oh,
I scooped as a child when I was a teenager. I
at
scooped for
Dairy
Dairy
Queen.
Queen, and I was never going to scoop again. so, I was devising a different kind of plan for it, like more
I love it.
classy pods.
Yeah,
It's kind of what
the
my trademark
futuristic
was for it.
ice cream.
I think I just did it a little early, who knows in a few years if it'll come back. I would like to give it away for free at like gallery events. That's more of the dream of like melding the two eventually
Yeah.
someday.
And also, once we do start getting taste and smell in VR, you
Hmm,
can
right.
have an
I'll
ice
be able
cream
to
gallery
put the
there.
sample. I'll put the little sample in.
Yep, exactly. All right. Well, thank you guys all for
Okay,
listening. Bye, Brookhawk, Easy,
everybody.
Havo, Conway, AgroCat. Super awesome to have you here, and we'll see you. The next ones are tomorrow night. We have Matthew from Scent coming on, who leads all of the like work in
Sweet.
progress meetups. Super excited to have him on. And then the next night, on Thursday, we have Ben from CryptoVoxels. So get your questions ready for live or send them before, because I feel like he's going to get flooded with questions
Mm-hmm.
on what's going on with CryptoVoxels and everything there. So those are the next two. Brookhawk, who is Ben? Those are the next two shows coming up. So thank you so much, Giselle. This will be on Twitch for the next 2 weeks, and then it expires, but it will be on YouTube forever. So
Perfect.
I'll drop the link in the Discord as well for anyone who wants to watch this back.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank
Giselle.
you. I'm gonna turn off this mic.
Okay.